It's such a great thing that the level of play and the talent that's being or that's been developed globally, which obviously going back to 1992 and the Dream Team really was the big domino back then that got so many countries thinking, how do we raise our level? And obviously with that being the first Olympics where NBA players could play and what that meant for the United States. And then we've seen so many terrific international players both play in the NBA, in the World Championships, and the Olympics. I just find it really funny, like everybody overreacting to these exhibition game losses when many, whether it's Australia, whether it's the team from Nigeria, like so many of these guys have been playing together in these international competitions for so long, which, by the way, the rules are different than the NBA. And just all of these over-the-top panic button reactions about Team USA losing exhibition games. And I know the climate that we've both been living in for a long time when it comes to sports, when it comes to content, when it comes to clickbait, reactions, debates, whatever. But this stuff just makes me chuckle. Like, these are really, really good players on the other team. And the way this stuff is being framed in the American sports media reacting to these losses is crazy to me. I just wanted to take your temperature on the status of Team USA and the importance of not overreacting to losing what are tune-up exhibition games, as this team, featuring many NBA stars, is trying to figure out who they're going to be as a collective unit. Your thoughts, my friend?
Well, I want to take my time to answer this because I'm one of those that's overreacting. I'm overreacting. Okay. And the reason I'm overreacting is because of the following. I'm concerned that the brand of basketball that we're currently playing, which we call the NBA, it clearly is showing me over the last, since 1992, we have gone farther and farther away from team-oriented basketball.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay? Now, when I say team-oriented basketball, what I mean is at one point, you ran plays and it was a team concept, right? You would run plays, 3 or 4 guys would be involved, maybe sometimes 5 guys would be involved, and it would be a system of play that would incorporate everyone within the team. Suddenly, we've gotten away from that. And now we're playing more individual isolation basketball. To the point now where you can see clearly, it's clear as day, that how we play in the NBA doesn't translate to international basketball. Okay. Everyone will say, well, they haven't practiced. Eric, I don't know. I've been playing my whole life. Screen roll doesn't change. A basket cut doesn't change. The fundamentals, 2-hand pass doesn't change. What does change is if a guy feels he needs a shot and he has to go into in his bag. That's what the young people call it.
In thy bag.
I got to get in my bag. And he starts doing his ISO thing. Okay. What happens when the ISO thing doesn't work? In a situation
you're preaching to the choir as far as
But this is why I'm overreacting, because I am convinced that a sport like basketball wasn't meant to be played, in an ISO-like situation.
In an ISO individual-like manner.
Yes. Now, I'm convinced of that now. Now it's showing me, how could you, when you look at the roster as it's currently built, these are some very accomplished NBA players. Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard, Bam Adebayo. Go on and on down the list. They have the best roster in the world. Mm-hmm. So what is allowing teams like Nigeria, like Australia, I don't care if it's an exhibition game or what have you, no disrespect to anyone. No one can argue that the best roster 1 through 12 or 1 through 15, whatever how many players on the roster, that the Americans have the best roster. What the Americans don't have right now is the best team. And you're seeing the gap close every year since 1992. That's what you're seeing. Now, at some point here, we are going to have to come to this realization, which I came to 10, 15 years ago. This brand of basketball does not translate to international basketball.
Can you share why?
The reason it doesn't translate is because, one, it's different rules. The international game is a totally different game than the NBA game. The NBA game is a 48-minute game. The international game is a 40-minute game. The international game is a more physical game than the NBA game. It used to be the other way around.
Yep.
Okay. The way that the game is played, the construction of the lane, the coaching and the preparation for FIBA and European and international basketball is totally different than how we play. It's a different shot clock. It's just a different game.
Defensive rules?
Defensive rules are different. The three-point line is different.
Goaltending?
Goaltending is different. The way it can take away isolation basketball is different. Okay. All of these. So we keep saying basketball.
And those just real quick, those defensive rules play into isolation not working well, and the normal, what NBA players are used to, pick and roll, also having more challenges. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you could sit and clog that lane all day long defensively and not have to get out and worry about 3 seconds in the key or any of that illegal defense stuff, correct?
Yeah, I mean, though, it's just a totally different game. It's a totally different game. And we can keep saying this. These guys haven't played together. Those guys in 92, everyone on that roster had international experience. Okay. Jordan played in the Olympics in what,
84?
Okay.
Magic and Larry had played international exhibitions.
Patrick Ewing had played.
Yes, but they also spent a lot of time together before competition started, and different time.
Okay, but
a whole lot more and a whole lot more collective experience. Let me say that. Back to you.
I don't care how much time you spend. Doesn't really matter. What matters is, do you understand the environment in which you're playing in?
Great
if
point.
you played the NBA game in an international game, you're going to lose 10 times out of 10. That's how the game is going to work. My point I'm trying to make here is that these players today, Bradley Beal, I don't know if he's ever played international basketball, but he's not playing anymore. Damian Lillard, Jeremy Grant, Bam Adebayo. I can't recall them playing at the highest level or the world championships or wherever. They're all young players. These players that are playing now, the best players in our game, when I say our game, the NBA game, are half of those guys now are foreign players. Giannis, Jokic, MVP, Rudy Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year, Luka Doncic. Those guys all understand how to play NBA brand of basketball, European brand of basketball. Our guys, I'm not sure they understand that. Basketball is not basketball. College basketball, that's a totally different game. Nowhere else in the world do they play by the NCAA rules other than the NCAA? Think about that, Eric. Nowhere else in the world. So why do we think because you scored 30 points in the NCAA that you're just going to translate? Think about that. That's why we're missing all of the players when we draft these kids, because there's no way to make a prediction on that game to this game.
Will their game translate?
It's like, well, does it translate?
You don't
the international game. You could play Euro Cup. That's a different game than Euro League, which is different than Division 2 or Division 3. They play a different brand of basketball in Serbia than they do in Germany and they do in France. If you understand what I'm saying here, you will understand that the brand of basketball in international competition is a different brand of basketball because of the way the game is played. And that, I don't care how long you can be together, you have to understand that if you're going to win these games, two things are going to happen. One, you're going to have to extend the game. That's always been the Americans' advantage. You're going to have to extend the game for 94 feet. I was listening to the game the other day, and they said they put together this team with the idea they were going to outshoot. They were just going to score more points. I was like, wait a minute, time out. Clearly, say what you want to about international basketball. In my 53 years of existence, it's one thing I know most of those guys from Europe can do. They can shoot. Now, they may not can jump as high. They may not run as fast. They may not be the same level of athlete. But them guys were shooting in the 80s when I was a young kid. They were shooting in the 90s. There's one thing I know they can do. And there's one thing I know we're not going to do better than them.
Yep.
It's outshoot them.
Absolutely.
Now, when I heard that comment, I jumped out of my seat. Eric, I still got ice on my calf. I jumped out of my seat. I was like, what do you mean you're going to put together a team that can outshoot these guys? Say what you want. Those guys can shoot. I mean, they all can shoot.
Out-defend, sure. Outrun,
say what you
sure.
want. When those bigs came over here, they were stretch bigs for a reason.
Yep.
Maybe they couldn't post. Maybe they couldn't run as fast. Maybe they weren't the same level of athlete as David Robinson and those guys. But they can shoot. Okay? They may not be able to play defense, but they can all shoot. When they said that on television, I was like, what? What are they talking about? What game are they looking at? Now, as I look at this team, I just think, I don't know if they have enough experience. They got the best players, but I don't know if they have the best experience to win and play this brand of basketball. And maybe it can come together for them. Maybe they have the talent. This isn't a talent issue. It's just understanding how you need to play in this environment as compared to the NBA. Because if we look at it from the NBA, we keep saying, oh, like I hear everyone saying NBA, but no, I'm not looking at Damian Lillard is as accomplished as a player in the NBA as you can have. But Patty Mills and those guys, they understand how to play this game.
Yep.
You understand?
Yep.
Patty Mills in the international play.
Oh, that whole crew. That whole crew is a problem.
And this is where Luka Doncic, he plays a certain way in the NBA, and he's going to play a certain way in international play. Now, how quickly will these guys who haven't experienced this? Kevin Durant understands that, because I watched Kevin Durant as a young kid playing the World Championships in Turkey. I've watched him play in international play. He certainly knows how to go back and forth. But I'm not sure the other guys do, or when have they done it?
Right.
And that's the thing I'm looking to see, how quickly they can do that. And I think maybe that's what Team USA knows. This is a very inexperienced team by international standards, and that's the lens I'm watching the game from.
I'm glad I asked. We hope you enjoyed that quick hitter presented by Pure Hoops Media. Check out the Pure Hoops podcast with BJ Armstrong and Eric Newman, dropping each and every Friday. Stay pure.